January 20th, 1942. A group of Nazi leaders met in a villa in Wannsee near Berlin. The chairman was Reinhard Heydrich, SS leader, Gestapo chief, and Reichsprotector of Bohemia and Moravia. The purpose of the meeting was to finalize the plans and implement the infamous final solution, the eradication of all Jews from Europe. Out of that meeting swept a wave of terror and death. Millions suffered and died in the Holocaust that ensued, but some survived. One of them was Otto Groenfeld. Otto was a Jewish boy. He lived with his parents and brother in central Prague. A few months after the conference in Berlin, the final solution came to their door. 50 years later, Otto wrote a book entitled The Survivor's Path. His own words best describe what happened the day the nightmare began. The Gestapo crashed their way into the flat very early one morning, ordered us to get dressed, and hustled us out into the street and the waiting cars. The drive to Petchek Palace, the Gestapo headquarters in Prague, was terrible. To see my father, the personification of invincibility, manhandled and disposed of like anyone else, made my old world split apart and vanish forever. Otto survived the war, the imprisonment, the concentration camps, but his father, mother, and brother did not. They died at the hands of the zealous people who planned and operated this machine of terror, men such as Reinhard Heydrich. Well, that was the 20th century, World War II. But history is replete with such events and such people. We turn the clock back 2,000 years. In the first century, following the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, there lived such a man. His name was Saul, also known as Paul. Paul considered the followers of Jesus a threat to his beliefs and career aspirations. Stephen was a leader in the church in Jerusalem. He preached publicly and was influencing people. Then he was falsely accused of blasphemy against God and condemned by the Sanhedrin.
Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul.
Notice that Saul was there. He applauded the killing of Stephen. Paul said this himself many years later.
And I persecuted this way unto the death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women.
So just like the name of Reinhard Heydrich struck terror in the hearts of Czech Jews during World War II, the name of Saul struck terror in the hearts of first century Christians. Saul was a terrorist in the true sense of the word, until everything changed.
Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God.
Paul explained the wonderful message that changed not only his life, but the lives of multitudes of people all through history. That message is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth.
Join me as we embark together on a journey called Believe.